Hello, y'all. Welcome. It's Riot. Welcome back to another week of Weekly Hyperfixations. We're on week 24, which is crazy. um, we've got it kind of all over the place on the docket today, which tends to happen. But sometimes we do have the occasional really well put together, like within the same. It's not as all over the place. It's more uniform. But um, so Um, let's start with some silly stuff. Um, Mr. Herans and Mr. Manuel Miranda met. Big day for fans of both Hamilton and Epic. A lot of fans are reasonably speculating that this means that Epic will be an actual on-stage production, which is huge. Um, and it's especially cool because this is also during the 10-year anniversary of Hamilton, which is also really nice. K-pop alert. I am not a fan of the group BTS per se. But I do know that the one guy from BTS I know besides Jungkook, Suga, is coming back from deployment. He's being discharged from service and is going to be coming back. And as I understand it, a lot of BTS is getting discharged within like this month. So that's a big moment for a lot of BTS fans, especially previous gen K-pop fans. So very excited for all of y'all. Maybe I'll finally get on that train. I don't know. There was a very, very entertaining moment with Sabrina Carpenter. Most recently, she showed the new album art for her next project. And, people are ragging on her this way and that. Literally, people are arguing for one thing, and then people are arguing the opposite thing. It's really funny. But she, turned around and was like, do you guys just not like that I'm sex positive? Are you guys scared that I don't shy away from that? Like, am I not allowed to be very positive in that aspect? Which was really entertaining because, get their ass, girly. Also, why are y'all complaining? Her music still gets up really high up in the charts. So clearly you don't actually, it's not that deep. Clearly it's not that deep, Anyway. Also we're working with very wet hair today. My apologies. I do look kind of scroungly with it. Also, the background's a little different. Because I, believe it or not, I'm a queer person who knows how to use an iron. I ironed my flag, and then as you can see, like right here, there's a line, because instead of having, the folded lines, which my oomph said, as God intended, it didn't have those wrinkles. It had like the crumpled up piece of paper type wrinkles, so I got rid of those and then replaced them with the correct wrinkles. So that's why the background's a little different, is because this weekend is Pride, and I needed to fix the flag. Also, just having a background that wasn't ironed was kind of bothering me, so, Okay, next up. So, I'm gonna say this. So, theater kids, I'm talking to y'all. Let's call him the presidential office holder. Saw Les Miserables. And so he went to the musical Les Miserables and sat through the whole musical. And some interviewer, and here's the thing with this interviewer, I do not know if she was stupid and thought this question would help garner him favor, or if she was really smart and knew this would show any amount of like if he actually paid attention, where his moral standing is, any of that. But either way, it was either a really stupid question or a really smart question, depending on the beliefs of the interviewer who asked this question. But someone asked the presidential office holder, after seeing Les Mis in a professional capacity as well, asked him if who he identified with more, Jean Valjean or Javert. And he said, I don't know, that's a really tough choice. Hey, it shouldn't be. You were asked if you identified with the villain or the protagonist, and you said you couldn't choose? Okay, you either paid attention and tried to answer that question honestly and realized you couldn't, or you fell asleep. Way more likely the latter, due to age, other things we've seen recently, like the G7 summit where he was falling asleep during that. So either way, that question was immaculate, and I'd love to meet that interviewer, or whatever journalist asked that question. In other news, we'll do a silly one. I'm an enjoyer of Drawfee. I've mentioned it before. They're a YouTube channel. Their tagline is where we take dumb ideas and make even dumber drawings. And the reason I bring up Drawfee is because there's a very, very important moment in Drawfee history in which Julia Le Petite tried to remember Bobby Hill and draw Bobby Hill. And it was very off, and it was terrible, and it was beautiful, and it was a good moment for Drawfee. There's a King of the Hill reboot coming out, and Bobby now looks more like that drawing than he did before. Also, it seems they have a lot of the original voice actors, and they have the same writing team, which is really, really nice. The animation is a bit weird, but I do think it's because they were trying to use the same animation techniques, but with newer, or the same animation style, but with newer techniques and software, and I think that's making it look a teeny bit janky in parts. But for the most part, it seems quite true to the original in terms of animation, writing, and cast. So, there's that. Hey, welcome. I'm bringing up Nicholas Hoult. By the way, we're so close to Superman coming out. We're so close. We're so close to Superman being in theaters. I'm so excited. But this is unrelated to Superman, but it is related to Nicholas Hoult. I've said before, I believe on the channel, maybe, when Gaga's new album came out, hey, Zombie Boy really fits Nicholas Hoult in his past roles. Not just because of his role as a zombie, but also because of the lines that are like, put your paws all over me, that kind of thing. Also reminiscent of Beast. So, like, really good. And I hadn't seen a single goddamn edit of him in any role or anything to Zombie Boy. Great news. I saw a Warm Bodies edit where they used Zombie Boy for him, and I went, thank God. Someone finally did it. Someone finally did it. And thank you. If I knew how to make edits, I definitely would have done it myself, but I don't. So, you know. Okay. Next, this is our last thing on our regular thing. Wow, my hair's all over my face. Okay, so so I'm very against generative AI because, you know, it's killing the planet at an accelerated rate. It's using up natural resources that are non-renewable, that kind of thing. every conceivable deity, actually, for this one. MIT, over several months, did a more than 200-page study on the effects of AI on the brain. They studied this via brain scans, okay? They scanned the brain while intermittently during the study, okay? And basically, so it was a brain scan study with the generative AI of choice for the study being ChatGPT. And not only is AI making people less productive, but it's actually making people cognitively bankrupt. And essentially, like, part of the study is about, like, people are measuring productivity incorrectly. People are measuring productivity based on how many things you can do in a day, when in reality, you should be measuring it by how many things you can do that are within your cognitive abilities. Using an external source like an AI is actively choosing to not be productive yourself, but forcing something else that's rapidly destroying the planet to do the work for you. Therefore, making you cognitively bankrupt. Because you're not using your own cognition to do something. You're asking a robot to do it for you. Not only is it making people cognitively bankrupt, but saying that you had AI do something for you is really just admitting that you didn't have the cognitive function to be able to do it yourself. You didn't, either that, or you're so lazy and so insensitive to your environment that you willingly asked something to do it for you because you simply did not want to do it yourself. I don't care if you didn't have enough time. That's a procrastination issue. I deal with procrastination constantly. This video goes up tomorrow, 3 p.m. I'm filming it the day before. I was supposed to film it on Tuesday, but I'm not having something else do my work for me. I'm doing my work. It's on me. I'm not going to outsource it to prove myself incapable. I'm simply not going to. And with that, I know my editing is not great, but at least I'm doing it myself. At least I'm putting in the work to do it and not outsourcing it to a computer that's destroying the planet actively. Quite plain and simple. But it's a very interesting study. I understand that not everyone wants to read a 200-page study. I know academic papers are boring. I've had to read so many of them in my life. But I encourage you even to just look up the study, and there should be a little summary when you're trying to find it. I can't remember what that's called. It's like their little premise, basically. I'll get back to you in one moment. Okay, I've returned. The word I was looking for is abstract. The abstract is functionally a summary. So, I am going to read the abstract. There are some terms in here that I do not know, but I'm sure are clarified within the actual study. Usually the abstract does not clarify those things. But I'm going to read the entire abstract to you guys. This is basically a summary of what they did in the study and things like that. Okay. This study explores the neural and behavioral consequences of LLM assisted essay writing. I assume that's that LLM is in reference to using a generative AI model. Participants were divided into 3 groups: LLM, search engine, and brain only, parentheses, no tools. Each completed 3 sessions under the same condition. In a 4th session, LLM users were reassigned to brain only group, in parentheses, LLM to brain. And brain only users were reassigned to LLM condition. So essentially, for 3 sessions, the 3 groups that were assigned a role participated in that role, and then for the 4th session, they swapped the people using the model and the people who were using no tools, swapped those roles for the 4th session. Sorry, that's the wrong sentence. A total of 54 participants took part in sessions 1 through 3, with 18 of them completing session 4, as in they dropped the middle group for the last session. We used electroencephalography, wow, in parentheses, EEG, to assess cognitive load during essay writing, and analyzed essays using NLP, as well as scoring essays with the help from human teachers and an AI judge. Across groups, NERs, N-gram patterns, and topic ontology showed within group homogeneity. So essentially, some of the groups, from what I understand, some of the groups did have some level of homogeneity in what they wrote. So some of the things they wrote were similar, basically. Okay. The electroencephalography. That is such a hard word. Electroencephalography. Okay. I'll read the previous sentence again. Across groups, NERs, N-gram patterns, and topic ontology showed within group homogeneity. The electroencephalography revealed significant differences in brain connectivity. Brain-only participants exhibited the strongest, most distributed networks. Search engine users showed moderate engagement, and LLM users displayed the weakest connectivity, as in the people who had the worst brain connectivity were the people who were using an AI model. Cognitive activity scaled down in relation to external tool use. In session 4, people who were using the AI model previously and were transferred to the brain-only participants showed reduced alpha and beta connectivity, indicating under-engagement. People who were previously in the brain group using no tools that were then moved to the AI model group, where did it go? I lost my place. Those users exhibited higher memory recall and activation of occipitoparietal and prefrontal areas, similar to search engine users. Self-reported ownership of essays was the lowest in the LLM group and the highest in the brain-only group. So people who were using the AI model admitted to using it, basically. And therefore did not say that they were the ones who did the essays. People who use the AI model also struggled to accurately quote their own work. While people using the AI model offer immediate convenience, our findings highlight potential cognitive costs. Over 4 months, people using the AI model consistently underperformed at neural, linguistic, and behavioral levels. So not just information recall, but it also infected their behavior. Let's see. These results raised concerns about the long-term educational implications of the reliance on AI models and underscore the need for deeper inquiry into AI's role in learning. That is, thank you for tanking that with me. Especially that one word, electroencephalography. Woo! That is a mouthful. Hold on, I need to look at it to say it. Electroencephalography. Thank you for tanking that with me. I did rephrase some of the sentences, as in, anytime it said LLM, I inserted that with people using the AI model because that's what they were referring to that group as, in order to hopefully provide a little more clarity for y'all. Because, you know, I don't entirely know my audience. I don't know how many of you are familiar with reading such, like, technical, high-level, scholastic level academic writing. It can suck. As we both saw, electroencephalography, that word alone, that's my new vocal warm-up. Anyways, that's the abstract of the study. And basically what I garnered from that is they took 3 groups of people, one group using AI models, one group just using Google to help with an essay, or any search engine, really, and then people who were writing essays only dependent on their brain and no other tools. They did 3 sessions of this study. All 3 groups did. And you know, there were brain scans in there with that. And then they took out the middle group and had the people in the other 2 groups, the AI model group and the brain only group, swap places for the last test. And then performed further brain scanning. Basically, from that abstract, I can tell you what they found is that people who only used their brain had a very high neural connectivity in their brains. Everything was working properly, everything was firing off correctly. And they were still getting the essays done. People who had been using the AI model up until the last session did not have that same appropriate level of neural connectivity. As in, there was literally disconnect with things in their brain because they had been so dependent on using something else to do the work for them. And basically, the end of the abstract is a call to action of, these are our results that we got over just a few months, and there was already a huge amount of change. We should probably look into this and figure out what to do as a society. So, there's that. I am going to be continuing to read the study. It's just really, really long. And like I said, even just electroencephalography, really difficult word. And I was a psychology major in college, not a neuroscience major. So there are some things that I'm going to have to do research on in order to be able to fully understand the study. But I do intend on doing that. So here we go. We're going to move on to the pyramid. Thank you for sticking that out with me. That might have been like 10 whole minutes. My apologies. Okay. Welcome to the pyramid. Everything on here is kind of silly. I'll be so real. Well, some of it's not particularly silly, but I think it's more of a whimsical and fun, less serious tone. First up on the pyramid, I'm gonna have to explain this character because not a lot of Americans know this, not a lot of people outside of Japan know this. First up on the pyramid is a manga character called Roboco. Roboco is a gag manga. Basically what that means is it's just humor and pretty much nothing else. And Roboco is really silly, goofy. The author will often make Roboco color pages that look exactly like other mangas covers. Like there's one where it's Roboco drawn into the My Hero Academia volume number 1 cover. Just silly things like that. Also, I don't remember what the significance of it was, but there was like a lot in that gag manga about specifically her knees. But Roboco's on the pyramid today because of this meme someone made a couple years back where it says Pride Month. And you may have seen the memes of Pride Month and then some of the letters fade away until it says like demon or something. This one was Pride Month, but then it fades and says Roboco. And I think about it a lot because it's Roboco. It's a really funny gag manga, mainly because like the premise is that Roboco is this maid robot who was formerly like a war machine. So it's really weird. But that's the point, you know. But that's why Roboco's on the pyramid this week. Next up on the pyramid is Hyunjin from Stray Kids. It's literally just this one photo shoot he was in recently where I was like, whoa, hey yo. It might have been the Versace one, I don't remember. I will be putting pictures up as I talk about him. But Hyunjin is on the pyramid this month. Also, love how the buzz cut is growing out. It's really cute. Yeah. Also, they're having a mini album come out, I believe. And I've heard a little bit of the song Hollow, and I really like it. Excuse me. So I'm excited for that. Sorry, I just tapped to the mic. But I'm really excited for that. Before my hair dries too much more, I'm gonna put it up just to have that done. And then, of course, some of it's gonna pop back out. As it always does. I have curly hair. What can you do? Next up on the pyramid is Sabrina Carpenter, because she's correct. Why are you so mad at her for being a sex-positive individual? Why are you lame? Like, you know, also, completely within her right to do whatever she wants in terms of how she presents herself and her content. She's her own person, believe it or not. So Sabrina Carpenter's on the pyramid because, yes, girl, get them. Get them. Clap back. You're doing your own thing. You do not need to listen to what other people say about you. She's handling it really well as well. Next up on the pyramid. Next up on the pyramid is Jimmy Olsen. No, I do not mean the man playing Jimmy Olsen. I mean Jimmy Olsen. Very specifically. As part of the promotional material for Superman, there's been a video released of Jimmy Olsen doing kind of like an MTV style, followed around by cameras, like, this is where I work, this is my desk, kind of thing. And it's a really cute bit because, you know, then Lois comes over and is like, Jimmy, can you do this? Did you do this thing you were supposed to do? And he's like, she likes to act like she's my boss, but I like to see us as more of the same level. And it's just really funny because it's very Jimmy, and I really like it. There's been a good portion of fans that I've seen commenting this under that video across various platforms, which is that a lot of us really would watch a show that's basically like just the Daily Planet, not even necessarily related to Superman. Literally, if we just had like a funny Office style or Parks and Rec style series about like Jimmy working at the Daily Planet, or honestly, I feel like a lot of us would take any sort of civilian type show about heroes. I think a lot of us would like something like that. If anything, it provides excellent world building opportunities, which I know comic fans go crazy for. So it's me, I'm comic fans. That was stupid. Anyways, Jimmy Olsen's on the pyramid because he's a silly little guy. Also, I've seen Psych, and the guy that plays Jimmy Olsen is in a lot of the flashbacks in Psych because he plays the younger version of the main character. So Jimmy Olsen's on the pyramid because he's totally cool, guys. Definitely. Next up on the pyramid is David Corenswet. You'll notice that I didn't say Superman. Just like for Jimmy Olsen, I did not say the actor's name. This time, I am. Next on the pyramid is David Corenswet, okay? He's on the pyramid this week because they really got a great guy to play Superman. He has a lot of the optimism and just the genuinely, like, just a guy type banter. They released that cute little video of a couple cast members arm wrestling, and he referenced Andre the Giant's line from The Princess Bride while doing the arm wrestling, and he was like, I want you to feel like you are doing well, which is what Andre the Giant says while his character is fighting Kiryu's character. Cannot remember his name. All I can think of is Farm Boy, and that's incorrect. Or Dread Pirate Roberts, which is also technically incorrect. Wesley. His name is Wesley. There we go. I got there, guys. But David Corenswet is on the pyramid because him thinking that, like, oh, I'm going to, even though this is literally promotional material, I'm still going to go out of my way to be like give this guy a chance against me in arm wrestling, just because that's sweet. And that does feel like something Superman would do. I think bro may be a little bit too much in the sauce with it. In the to the font of he was acting like Superman for so long that now he's just still acting like Superman. Method acting too far into the bit, I guess. Not really, because it's not harming anyone, but that's why David Corenswet's on the pyramid this week. And then finally, on the pyramid this week is Miss Jasmine Amy Rogers. She's been on the pyramid quite a few times, including, I believe, the top of the pyramid more than once, if I remember correctly. Hold on, I'm checking, because of course I am. I'm sure there's so many Pedro Pascal. Whoa. Anyways, I gotta stop. Jasmine Amy Rogers has been on the pyramid multiple times, predominantly for her work as Betty Boop in the musical Boop. This time, Jasmine Amy Rogers is just on the pyramid simply because people have been more vocal about hating her recently, to the point in which she has decided to address it publicly, and she's honestly handling it really well, especially with theater kids. Sometimes you can be greatly affected by things like that, but also it's fully within our ability to just ignore things like that. And I think she's doing a really good job of being like, hey, I need to address it, but I also need you to know it's less so bothering me and more so just inappropriate behavior. And good on her for that. I wish I could give her a hug. Just like a good hug, and be like, you're doing the best, and it does not matter what literally anyone else thinks of how good you are doing, because you know you are doing your best. And that's something I think every actor needs to hear, honestly. So that's why Jasmine Amy Rogers is on the pyramid. Before we close out this week of Weekly Hyperfixations, the theater I work for had our little awards show. It was a couple hours long. It was beautiful. And first and foremost, I'm planning a full-length academic presentation on why generative AI is not okay to use, especially in a creative space, because there were some people who presented at the local theater's awards show that openly said they used it. And I was like, oh, disgusting. Thankfully, my favorite individual at the theater at the end did say that she was thankful that no amount of technology could ever replace what we do. Heard, girly. That was weird. Anyway, but also, and I was reminded of this moment while talking about our top of the pyramid, Jasmine Amy Rogers. There was a girl who won Best Actress from our theater, and she had also performed Adelaide's Lament, because kind of how the awards show works is there'll be some awards given, and then there will be a recap of the previous season in which a scene or a song is performed from one of the and they go through each show from the previous season and each show in the next season. And she performed Adelaide's Lament for the recap for the Guys and Dolls. And then, you know, after that, one of the shows was presented for next season. But she did a beautiful job. I didn't get to see that show, and I just know they nailed it literally solely based on her performance. But she, a couple, probably like 20 minutes after she had performed that, they did the award for Best Actress in a production this past season, and she won. And she was quite choked up and emotional about having won. And she simply said, in acceptance for her award, not a lot of people did really long speeches, but all she said, and this really stuck with me, all she said is, thank you guys for, what did she say? She essentially said, thank you guys for giving me purpose in a job that continually feels like it's losing purpose. And oh my god, yeah. So I felt that in my soul. Acting's a very difficult field, and, you know, she clearly has been struggling with the ups and downs of having theater as a career. And oh, I remember what she said, more accurately at least. She said, thank you for giving me hope in a job that feels more and more hopeless every day. Whoo, girl. Oh man. I felt that in my soul. I think a lot of us did. Especially with a local theater community like this, it's much harder to be a female or AFAB actress or actor in the space than it is to be a male actor in the space, because a lot of the time we're spoiled for choice on an AFAB actor to put into a female role. We usually struggle to find men to fit, or AMABs to fit male roles. And of course, there can be spillage both ways. But even so, it's a lot harder to fill male roles than it is to fill female roles. And that also really impacts a small theater community like this. So, her speech was very short, very concise, but more moving than I think anything else I heard. It's the only part of that awards show that I'm still talking about in terms of things people said. So it's a lot, you know? I've gone way over time. So I thank you all for watching. You know, I'll see you next week, same time, same place. I might talk about Pride next time you see me, because that's when because it's happening this weekend, so it'll be talked about next week if I talk about it at all. I'm very excited. But anyways, have a good one, y'all. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching. If you want notifications on when I post these, I don't flood notifications at all. But, you know, like, subscribe, hit the bell. If you do hit the bell, I do recommend turning on all notifications and not just personalized, because anytime I leave it on personalized for a channel, I don't actually get notifications about when people post, which is really backwards to me. But like I said, turning on all notifications for me won't really do too much to your inbox, as I post once a week a video and once a week a community post. So thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you next week. So yeah, bye y'all.